C.J. Stroud and what we're seeing in this league from him and how remarkable he has looked for the Houston Texans. I had Kurt Warner on the show yesterday. I'm like, hey, man, and all the tape that you're seeing, give me the quarterback that's seeing it the best and slinging it the best consistently from jump all the way to week 12. And he said Stroud. That was the first name out of his mouth. Why is it working so well for him, do you think, Jordan?
Well, I think it was a great situation. Now, my co-host on my podcast, Kyle Allen, was the backup, ended up starting a couple games last year. So I'm very, very familiar with the state of Houston Texans football 12 months ago.
Yes.
So one, the turnaround in general starts with D'Amico Ryans and goes on the way down there. But I think adding a couple of pieces, on defense with Will Anderson, but Tank Dell in the third round, that's actually a guy, because I've trained Clayton Tune out of Houston, so I spent a lot of time with Tank Dell. I told a lot of GMs, watch out for this Tank Dell kid, and I'm getting some texts every now and then. But I think it was just adding the right pieces to allow CJ to be able to have a very rhythmic passing game. And I think that's probably the goal of everybody. So it kind of sounds dumb to say, look, they want their quarterback to be in rhythm. Like, of course, everybody does. But they have the personnel to do it, and the way they've installed it. And it fits with him, because that's a lot of what they did at Ohio State. And then the part of his game that's evolved probably, and I've been around CJ since he was like 16, probably faster than I thought it would, is his ability to buy time and create time and space. And so you're just seeing great movement by him, and he's just constantly remaining a passer. And he called himself a ball placement specialist going through the draft process. And so far he has completely backed that up, whether he's on time or whether he's off schedule. So
why do you feel the opposite is happening with Bryce Young so far this year, Jordan?
I just think there's too much on his plate. There's obviously pressure from being the number one pick. That's nothing new. But there's just so many holes on that roster. And similarly to working with Kyle Allen and understanding Houston's what's going on in the building in Houston, I work with Sam Darnold, so I very well understand what's been happening in the building in Carolina. And it's not that they're missing a wideout. It's not that they're missing DJ Moore. There's just holes across the board. And you can go back to that draft a few years ago when they selected, everybody on defense for the entire draft. And so I just think that there's a whole roster overhaul that needs to happen. And when that's the case, and you got a quarterback that's not playing well, and certainly not the first high draft pick rookie quarterback to have a bad rookie year. I mean, we saw this 2 years ago with Trevor Lawrence. But I think there's just so much on his plate. And the reality is his game is to not run around and create and solve all these problems at this NFL level when there's that many holes. So blame will be pointed at the coordinator and the head coach. But the reality is that roster is a long ways away from being competitive in this league, regardless of who their quarterback is. And the key thing moving forward, just like what happened with Trevor Lawrence, Trevor has a dumpster fire rookie year, all the Urban Meyer. And then the next year, he was able to reset. It didn't matter. And they went to the second round of the playoffs. So, Bryce having a tough year, even if it gets worse, I think it has no effect because of his self-confidence, because of how he carries himself and how he approaches the game. I don't see this lingering into his second year. It's just a really tough way to start your NFL career.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.